Set yourself free, free up your senses. Tear down your walls, tear down your defenses. Set yourself free. Hey, what's going on, audience? We are live, in effect, coming straight out of the capital and coming straight out of London, Oxford, Cambridge area. We are with Hanneka Strega. This is a true treat, guys. Really pay attention, get your earphones off, enjoy life, because this is going to come through with happiness in effect. We're bringing happiness to the world. We're bringing compassion, empathy, soul guidance. We have been awakened, and we want to share it with you guys. How are we doing, Hanneka?
Yeah, hey, how you doing? That was a great intro. I love that tune too, very sweet.
Yeah, thank you. Set Yourself Free by Wayne Chattel and yours truly. It was actually, funny story, I met him in the train area in Sydney. And you know that little, that walk-through area?
Oh, in Central, like in the city?
Yeah, in Central.
Oh, and yeah.
Random jam session, you know, it was all meant to be.
Was he busking or?
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Don't tell me that was you singing though.
I was doing the chorus with him, yes.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Well done.
He had the main part of the voice. I was doing a little repertoire at the end. You guys can see it on rhapsody.com, but yeah, how's everything been? Last time I saw you, you were in Sydney. Tell us about your recent adventures in the consciousness exploration and your newest missions. What kind of have you been up to in the last year, more or less?
Well, I did a year in Australia after traveling all through my 20s. I just finally stayed in one place for a while to study integrative nutrition, which was really cool, very educational. Good lectures from all amazing people about health, spirituality, and yeah, it was really cool. And then I finished that in July and went off again. I thought I was so tired and done with traveling. I was just like, I never want to travel again. And then I'm like, all right, I'm off. So I came to live in England, yeah, via a few places. Japan to visit friends and go to a beautiful wedding of one of my best friends. And then to Paris, Portugal, Ibiza, and then here. So, and I had, quite a few different juicy little adventures along the way, you know. And now I'm here in the countryside and with you, with your fine self.
That's awesome. So more or less you just have been on a mission to explore. You felt the call of adventure. You were back in Australia and we had met at the ASC event where we really were around a lot of conscious entrepreneurs, a lot of people that are doing great things, a lot of musicians, a lot of great-hearted, open-hearted people that are really expanding and doing great things and showing tremendous love. So you sort of just felt the call to keep it going, right?
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It kind of almost took me half of that year to tap into this real, I don't know, juicy spiritual side of Sydney that I'd never really, because when I go back, I mean, it's beautiful. It's my home, you know, it's family and friends and people you've known forever and stuff like that. But so I didn't really know, for me, it's more Byron Bay that would have that more kind of conscious community going on when I go there. But in Sydney, it exists and it's growing and it's so beautiful. And I was really tapping into some great like things and people and projects. And then, so I don't know, I'm kind of like, but I'm a gypsy nomad at heart. What can you do? You know, you just like got to go sometimes. But yeah, there is a beautiful thing there, that great new friends there and really cool conscious community. Yeah. As you know, you were there.
Absolutely. And it's like tapping into the land, the water, the nature, and it's a big city. But then on the outskirts, you just start meeting such great world travelers. You start meeting people that have gone from a priest to a position of like new age spiritualism, meditation. They're all sorts of entrepreneurs, and they're combining knowledge, and they're sharing knowledge, and they're expanding with entheogens at some points. They're expanding with all sorts of ways to enhance our harmony with our music, with our
there's a lot of healing methodologies that aren't mainstream and a lot of intuitive practices. I mean, it is just, guys, if you guys can find something like that in your communities, it'll break open a shell inside of you and you can learn to see a new version of yourself. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, exactly. And it's amazing how that's everywhere now. Like everywhere I go, I'm like, wow, it's like one big community, worldwide community that, you know, I mean, a lot of people know each other, but a lot don't. And it's similar, you know, same soul stream kind of people doing similar things, raising up together, learning together and exploring, you know, other realms of, you know, inside and outer worlds and each other and creating community and stuff like that. So it's everywhere. And I think when people feel that kind of calling or well, for me it was always a part of my life, so I don't know, you know, it's harder to say because that's one way to go into it, but a lot of people had completely different, that wasn't a part of their lives at all, and then all of a sudden, you know, if they feel that calling or if you just open yourself up, it's like boom, it just comes. It's amazing how much it's there. It's like another dimension to life that, you know, it's kind of like that thing, you can't really see it unless you know, start, you know, opening, you know, just keeps opening. It's amazing, like a magic eye picture, you know, the ones you have to like stare at for ages, and then boom, there's a whole dimension that you didn't even see. You're like, no way. I loved those books when I was a kid.
No, it's so true. It's like a lot of the people who have been into sort of like an alternative life, now they're the leaders as the world merges into this cool, eclectic, electric vibe and all sorts of poetry and motion. You got this wonderful keeping the earth clean and kind of balancing the economic capitalism that's going on. And people are really sharing their voice via the internet. And it's just so lovely getting together in festivals such as Burning Man. I had the opportunity to meet some of the world leaders in this field. You got people like Elon Musk, you got like startup entrepreneurs like Tim Ferriss, you got all sorts of, not to mention some musicians that you don't know, but they're just the best musicians of all time. They're like Madonna times 20. And you're going, where have you been my whole life? I want all your CDs. You just get to hear this blessing. And yeah, I think that we're headed in the right direction for the most part. If we can, as communities, be leaders and sort of shield our ears. And we don't know the plans of people with lots of military, but we can kind of help each other out as best we can to navigate it, you know, raise awareness. What kind of projects are you really passionate about right now? You were mentioning vegan food, positive messages and positive conscious practices. What's kind of going on?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many, like you're saying, I mean, it's blooming everywhere and so many different forms and modalities and different ways that you can support the positive things going on depending on what's important to you. And, you know, you can tap into one of so many things. Music is the huge one that, you know, because we're all frequency and sound. So, I mean, that is affecting everybody, whether people know it or not. So, I mean, listening to beautiful music, you know, has a huge, profound effect. And there's a lot of sound healing now. That's becoming very popular as well. Like people realizing that, you know, with the bowls and with sounds, in groups, that it's like it penetrates through you and raises your vibration in an amazing way. And so yeah, there's a lot to choose from. Yeah, diet, food is a massive way to be a part of something that's, you know, it's every day. So that's affecting the planet in a huge way. I don't know. I just saw Cowspiracy yesterday, which I was crying. Anything to do with the rainforest, the Amazon, it's like, forget about it. I just lose it. I can't handle it. You know, I feel like it's my family being torn down. And I was just happy to see a documentary that was addressing the effects of the meat industry on the environment, because there is a lot of stuff about it, you know, to do with animal welfare, which is a huge thing, of course, feeling connected, feeling compassion for your fellow earthlings and everything. Very important, I think, to reconnect to all life on the planet, not just, you know, you and your immediate family or your own race. But it's, yeah, there's not a lot of focus on the destruction, you know, that it's having on the lungs of our planet, you know, which is the Amazon and all of the other rainforests. And Cowspiracy brings that to light in the way that it's because it's such a huge industry. People have been killed when they talk about it, or, you know, industries are like, don't want to talk about it, even environmental industries and stuff like that. So for me, yeah, not eating animal products is a really positive way to affect like all things and in everyday life. So like your own health, doesn't matter what your priority is, your own health, the well-being of the planet, the well-being of animals, all of them are supported by a plant-based diet, and it can make a massive difference if we all kind of go in that direction a little bit. So I'm quite passionate about that. And just living, from truth. That's a really big one for me. Open-mindedness and honesty, authenticity, going towards transparency and that kind of thing. But yeah, I forgot my question. Got me on a rant about the environment.
You raised a couple of issues there. I'm really passionate on health and wellness and nutrition and quantum medicine. And at a real huge source, you are what you eat, you are what you've ate, and you are what you drink, you are what you've taken, you are what you vaccine. You are a product of all these elements that have been brought to you with no necessary science and longevity of the practices. So we are taking in products and we're constantly detoxing and all of this media frenzy. We really, as truth seekers, we have, with the knowledge, we have to present it in such ways like Cowspiracy, such as Food Incorporated, such as Forks Over Knives done. And people really, I've seen people shift so much, they'll never go to a fast food restaurant. Russia is shifting. I don't agree with all their practices, but they're shifting from no GMOs. They're all organic inside farming. They're doing sustainable agriculture, sustainable communities. All the water that we're taking in, we got to watch out because we're overusing a lot of our planetary systems that maintain the homeostasis of the planet. We are not regrowing it. So I had a Greg Harston on my show not too long ago about the Virginia industrial hemp. And this is so important because it regrows just like corn every year, and you can use it from all the products. So once we get conscious capitalism out of the market, people like ourselves can come into the market and create products, create industries for the mass people rather than the 1%, which they're holding on so damn tightly to every single control facet. And as long as the money comes in, the money is just another form of energy to keep it running. So as people, we got to realize.
Yeah, we got to self-educate. It's really important to do research and to self-educate. A really great way that information is coming through, obviously the internet, but documentaries. There are great people doing great. I'd love to make documentaries. I mean, I think it's a great way to get truth and positive messages out there. And I mean, because there's so many ways that we're being locked into not thinking about it. Like, most people in the planet, I mean, have to work so hard just to survive, which is, it's set like that. So they don't really have time to think about the planet at large and these kinds of things. And then there's, television, radio, things that go into our mind. I mean, when you see people like Derren Brown and the ways that the mind works, it's so easily manipulated and so easily programmed by subtle things, words, places, certain images. And so to become aware of that is very helpful because it's everywhere. So it's like, magazine, it's just everywhere. It's not a conspiracy. It's just very obvious. It's just, you can feel that anyway, what you take in, both internally, of course, everything we put in our mouths, in our, in medicine, everything we put in is communicating with ourselves. So we are definitely what we eat. And then, so it's external and internal. We're being fed a lot. So it's just about being conscious about that and kind of, being aware of that.
Let me ask you a question. If you were in charge of the educational system, what are kind of some of the classes that you can offer to help parents and kids grow up so they can do things sustainably and do things ethically and also thrive?
Yeah, that's so interesting that you asked that because it was this morning. It's so random. This morning I was just thinking about creating, it would be great to create programs for schools because I mean, the education system is like, don't even get me started. I never liked it. When I was in it, it never resonated. My small amount of time in the Steiner school was beautiful. That was really, really beneficial. But other schools is more like it's just to put you in a box and to kill all creativity and individualism. I just didn't make any sense to me. And I think so the only way that needs a massive change. So I think if you can homeschool your kids or something, because I've seen, some amazing children come out of or alternative, you know, creative schools that are encouraging children's natural interests, because, you know, they all have these natural different characters that need nurturing and watering. They have these gifts to share with the world, you know. So, but if they don't have time to tap into it because they're in this education system all day and then homework and all this sort of stuff, it just fades away, you know. So maybe creating programs for schools, I was thinking, to educate on, for one, the planet. I think that's very important, because we don't get educated really on the state of the planet and the cause and effect of the decisions that we make, you know, as humanity, as having so much power as a human being has. It's like, I think it would be great to show them, you know, the difference between the past and now and how that's come about and why. Because like, children are so naturally connected to nature that it's, you know, they're still compassionate. They would connect to that, you know. And I think it's really important to encourage our children to maybe choose careers based on that, their passions and their interests, and also something that's beneficial, you know, for themselves, for people, for the planet, you know, because right now we kind of need everyone to have that intention, you know, because it's a critical point where if we don't, and we always are thinking, oh, well, how can I make the most money quickest, blah, blah, blah. Not only does that kill people's happiness a lot of the time because they don't enjoy going to the, you know, 9-to-5 office. I mean, it suits some, but many do it because, you know, that's what that's the direction it goes into. When we were in high school and they talk about careers and stuff, you know, it's about the money or something. Whereas I think it's important to help the children connect to what their passion is, and something that's really positive, and that's going to bring them happiness, and that then through that money comes, you know, and that, you know, they will be supported because they're doing what they're here to do, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it would be important to, and also so that they can be kind to each other, programs on feeling good about themselves and being kind to one another, because school can be hard like that, you know. It can be hard for children to express themselves and to be positive and to be connected to things, because some other kids are, you know, I don't know, giving them crap or making it hard for them. So there are a lot of programs that would be beneficial to, I think we need more positive programs in schools, definitely. Would be a good start. Yeah,
absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And I see a big shift with a lot of Peter Diamandis, the guy who writes Bold. He works with President Clinton. I see a lot of people such as Tim Ferriss, again, we mentioned as an educational changer. Josh Whiteskin, he's a chess champion. He's a jiu-jitsu champion. He's a conscious philosophical teacher. Now, there's workshops that I know of friends who are starting it up on a retreat basis over in great places like Bali, Costa Rica, Guatemala. Burning Man has a lot of educational platforms that last throughout the whole year. And it's just ways to thrive in this world, to grow, have plants growing, have live detox programs, have all sorts of philosophical conversations to question why we're doing this, question our taxes, question our educational platform, question why we're learning certain things, question the media, question the news, everything. Yeah, because I mean, I really think that a lot of our leaders right now are shifting towards this, and there's a lot of push-pull going on, and there's another diversion tactics. And when things get real scary, then the missiles start just dropping. So we really, yeah. You just got to watch out, because I mean, I don't want to be involved in everything, but for what I can help just change one person, then can help change 5 people, that can help change 10 people. And then we'll all be living in a better world. We're not working 80 hours a week, where we have no ability to raise our children, to where every single woman and man is believed to work ridiculous hours on passionless careers. And we want to have a system where we can thrive and have an experience and have vacation and have money that's going to come in and be able to support us. But I love that. So there's a lot of ethical issues there. I definitely think that when you travel, I think that's the first step for people. What would you say people can do if they want to kind of unplug a little bit? What are some like small measures they can do to kind of help themselves out, get out of the funk?
Yeah, I think it's like, for me, it was always important to go somewhere that had that energy. I was lucky. I would go to, say, I don't know, places that have that kind of energy, like Byron Bay or Ibiza. Some places on the planet have that kind of thing, which reminds you of like what's important and to connect to inside and stuff like that. But some people, you know, they're in total places where that's not happening. So that's where the challenge lies, because even for me, when I would go back to, say, Sydney and go back to an old thing that I was doing, you know, work and this and that, I know, you know, and I'm connected, but it just, you start to go back to old patterns, or you start to get, you know, into the petty things that you don't even believe in, you know, like, oh God, I'm getting fat, or like, oh, this and that, these distractions that keep you from the important things. Because when it surrounds you, it is super hard, because we're all energy, and it's like we're all in each other's energy fields, and the vibrations are going through the air, and, you know, so little things, putting your feet on the earth is the first very simple thing, I think, that's really important. Like spending time on grass, around trees, or in water, you know, as much as possible is super important, I think, connecting with the elements, because it just really changes everyone. How you feel, it instantly changes. It doesn't matter who you are, you instantly, you know, it kind of rebalances you and reconnects you. And I think it's a very important frequency that comes from the earth. I mean, it's a scientific thing, into your body. And I think that's really important. And the fact that we all wear red rubber shoes, I'm like, what? Rubber soles, you know, that energetic current and electricity can't go through. And then the grounds and the floors and being elevated, it's hard. It makes us all crazy. I mean, you know, so I think reconnecting to nature and reading beneficial, inspiring materials, listening to really beautiful vibration music, you know, world music, different things like that. Now we have the internet, you know, watching TED Talks, like educating yourself, things that make you feel good, you know, because, yeah, what you surround yourself with good people, and those little things can help you, you know, I think, connect to yourself.
What's the role in psychedelics and entheogens that kind of help us break the spell? Because some of us are just buried 7 feet under like dirt, and we are just so stuck into the mortgage, the system, the education that we learned, and we think that that's the only way.
Yeah, because there's no, a lot of people they're not having the time to think about anything different, or they don't come across materials or people to inspire them outside of that. And maybe that's some people's journey. I mean, who's to say, you know, there's also growth and lessons in every path, you know, within every journey, and we're all on a different mission at different times. But yeah, I think it's amazing how these days psychedelics, especially the plant medicine teachers and healers like ayahuasca, peyote, San Pedro, mushrooms, psilocybin, all that kind of thing, are really being used a lot more. I mean, I think they've come at this right time to help people, because you can get to those places organic. I mean, everything's organically, but I mean, alone, like say with meditation, nature, this and that. But we don't have time for that. A lot of us don't have that luxury to go into the mountains and connect and go inside and stuff like that. So these medicines are a really great tool to really fast, like very quickly, be reminded of those things. And I don't think it's a coincidence that, you know, so many people are exploring those realms and modalities now. I mean, 15 years ago, if I mentioned ayahuasca or something, no one, like, you know, people were like, what? I don't know what that is. The other day, a friend of mine wrote down, wanted to write ayahuasca in his notes, and he wrote like AY, and ayahuasca came up in the phone, you know, like in the autocorrect, like instantly, and he'd never written it before. So that's pretty funny.
The 100 monkey effect, right?
Huh?
It's the 100 monkey effect. Once the 100 monkey does one thing, then the rest of the monkeys will do the same.
Exactly, critical mass. Exactly. The more people get into a certain vibration, into something, then it spreads very, you know, more and more quickly, like a spiral, I suppose. So yeah, that's amazing. I've just watched that journey of how that's spreading and growing, and I'm like, wow, really blown away. And yeah, it's a useful. I think it's probably helping. It's especially when it comes to community. You know, it gives people that sense of community again. It's connecting to like what the natives you know, knew and how they lived. It's like the information is in those plant healers. So it's great to
even the Vikings and even the Egyptians and even the Babylonians and the Mayans. And now, you know, with such a young culture of America and Britain and Australia, we're sort of rediscovering what the parliaments and what the governments didn't want us to know, that we are infinite beings, we are powerful leaders, we are transcendent, strong individuals. And life is a multiverse, and we are living in a meat body, but there's a whole different mission and purpose. And if you want to get 20,000 years or 20,000 sessions of therapy, entheogens are a good way to get there. And it's not a coincidence that many business leaders like Tim Ferriss and John Hopkins and Harvard and the whole exploration of Tim Leary and Ram Dass, a lot of these leaders emerged from the help of entheogens, such as Steve Jobs. And we could just go down the list of all these creative minds that got back to imagination and got back to ideas to serve humanity, not to take from humanity, to serve humanity.
Yeah, 100%. And it's amazing. What's really beautiful is seeing people in positions of power that have a voice starting to speak about these issues and expansion and consciousness and inspiration. And I mean, you know, like there's some really, I mean, Jim Carrey and, you know, like Matt Damon the other day. I mean, a lot of people with voices are now using it to try and wake people up and to express their truth. And that's great, you know, because people that are, or a lot of people pay attention to those people, you know, like they listen and so it filters into them, you know,
yeah,
through the entertainment.
Leonardo DiCaprio the other day about The Revenant, you know, he was having the big talk on the Golden Globes. He kind of made a mockery of it. Like, you guys are worried about your prestige, but you're not worried about the indigenous cultures. You're not worried about what the past of what human atrocities have happened. We must recognize that first and then move forward. And, you know, again, we're living on a planet such as before that there's indigenous cultures and less advanced societies living amongst this planet. So if you go to Papua New Guinea, you go to deep in the rainforest, there are still people hunting and gathering. And we literally are having like airplanes with hotel rooms and race cars in our backyard. And we're having, you know, jet packs we're flying around. And, you know, if you showed up to one of the Amazon rainforests with a jet pack and showed up, they would think you're an alien. So let's be real. We got to kind of be open to everyone. I think, how would you say that open-mindedness is a sign of enlightenment? Is that a great thing to have, to be open-minded?
I mean, I don't know about enlightenment. I've never really had much of a opinion, or I don't know what that word means to me, but open-mindedness, yes. Like, to me, that's the most important thing, is to realize that, you know, you only kind of have the perspective that you hold in that moment from where you're standing, because of the experiences you've had, because of the influences, the things you've connected to and been exposed to. And so to remember that, you know, that's always going to evolve. Well, should you let it, which I think you should, because I believe that the nature of everything in this universe is to evolve. Like, everything is constantly evolving and changing. It's the one sure thing, you know? And so I think to go with that flow, you know, the universe is expanding, right? So I think that it's good to go with the flow of the law of the universe, because we're a part of it. So to expand, to create, because that's what this is, like art, you know, it's like art in motion and it's expansion and stuff. So I think keeping an open mind and always being curious, and it is really important, because once you start paying attention and opening your mind, new information comes from everywhere. It's like the universe speaks to you constantly from all ways, you know, not just your parents, not just teachers. It could be a bum on the street talking to someone that's not even you, you know. If you're paying attention, there's communication going on everywhere all the time. It will just lead you from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And it's this like beautiful, amazing adventure. So I think everyone should totally open up to that. I think it's the most beautiful gift and what we're here to explore. So.
Yeah, and definitely you will lose some friends out of it. You may lose some old friends that may be not on your journey as you grow. So guys, we have to be courageous. And there's a concept that I learned is be careful of being a nudist and a Buddhist at the same time. A nudist, a Buddhist, and a conscious explorer, and a whatever, because then that's for people to comprehend. It may be too intense. So even if you're in a conversation with people and you're saying I'm learning meditation, just say meditation, because it just blows people's brains up, and they come back to that fear generation of negative bias. And so, there's a way of easing people in, and when they start seeing that the benefits of you and the benefits of you coming into your passion, then your family, your friends will start to accept you because you're heading in the right direction. But what you're doing a lot of times.
Exactly. And leading by example, I think is a great way that people see and feel and take things on, because saying that I'm this, also it's labels, so it's more people put things in categories, then their brains go like, they grab all the connotations and files to do with that word, attach that word, and then they're like, So it's like there are so many words and ways to explain where you're at or what you're exploring, should they be interested. I don't even really end up talking about it much. I'm doing my thing, and then if someone asks something, but if not, you just kind of go along but I think it is good. It's good to share things, because that's how people learn and grow. But it is interesting with the terminology, and then what people, they put walls up easily, right? People can get very blocked by certain things. The vegan thing has a massive one. Feminism has a massive one. It's very probably because of certain other things, but the labels thing, that's what that is.
Yeah, it's just things going too far and whatnot, and we just having. There's no right answer, and people don't know philosophy. They don't understand that they can argue any point in any way, and there's really no right answer, but there's the best possible answer once you debate things, and then you can kind of see different points of view, and even I've been turned around, and my views of things have changed as I've evolved, and then I've gone back to my old self and then been like, who am I? What version? So we all have different shadow sides of ourselves. So we really, understanding behavioral psychology and things of that nature would be great. Hanneka, what would you tell your earlier teen self about the world if you could go back in time and just give a message to your teenage self?
Oh, that's interesting. A message to my teenage self. Oh, that's a hard one. I guess just to believe in yourself and follow your truth, because life was pretty scary back then. I think when you're younger, things seem bigger, people and situations and, distractions. And I got quite distracted. So I think, to follow what my original interests were and, to stand by that, because it's an interesting process going through that. Like when I was younger, that was kind of judged a lot until you're a teenager, then it's kind of cool. And then it's like you go through all these, you're at effect of other people's own stuff, and it's actually their stuff. So, but it feels so big. I was quite self-conscious and shy and stuff like that. So I guess just to believe in yourself and so. What about you? What would you tell your teenage self? It's an interesting.
Yeah, I think I would tell myself to encourage self-love, to read a lot more early on, and to practice all the time, every single part of the day, to what I really was passionate about, because then mastery after my 10,000 hours would have been at this point now. But I'm communication, mastery of laughing and language, and mastering of travel started at a young age for me as well. So these things I would have told myself, because I can see like the best performers of every field, like Andre Agassi, you can see like Tiger Woods, you can see Michael Jordan. They were out in their backyard. They found what they loved. So I would have probably asked myself these questions when I was just being told what to do. What do I really love? What really makes me feel like I need to take massive action? What really feels effortless and something I want to do consistently? And then really got clarity and learned how to have clarity a bit earlier. Then then I wouldn't have been able to, like, just reaching out and experimenting at like 9,000 things, you know? So that's probably what I would have told myself.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess it's just, I think also that we take exactly the steps that we take. You know, we have all these experiences in exactly divine timing, so to get us exactly where we're supposed to be, where we need to be. So you know what I mean? So it's always easy to go, well, I wish I knew that earlier, I'd gotten onto that earlier or whatever, but the experiences that you had, and, you know, I and everyone else, it gave you the knowledge and experience of humans, of yourself, of whatever, so you can relate to people in a certain way, and so that you get to where you're going, you know? So it's interesting having that trust as well, because we can be so sort of hard on ourselves in the present day as well. I mean, for myself, it's like, why aren't I doing this yet, or that, or I should have done this earlier, or, you know, you got to kind of trust, like, that.
Living in the now for the most part.
Yeah.
If you had a time machine, where would you go and why?
Oh, a time machine. So that's not a different place. That's a different time.
Yeah, you can go to a different time. Yes, correct. And you could spend a week there, let's just say, and come back to your normal life.
Oh my God, there are so many times that I would love to go back to. How do you choose one? Like, that's so hard.
Maybe 3.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I'd like to go back to like a long time ago, before anything was, I mean, who knows what was even there. That's why I want to go there to see how we were living, like, in the basic beginnings of our existence, because I just think that the world also would have looked really amazing then, you know, the nature and the humans and stuff like that. So that would be one. I mean, 60s came to mind because I think that there was a real, like, one of the first big consciousness opening kind of revolutionary feelings that I would love to, like, just, you know, be amongst that, like everyone just like getting naked and doing drugs and being like the music. And I mean, imagine that had never happened. It had pretty much been conservative until then. So that would have been mind blowing. I mean, I don't think, you know, and then possibly, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of the past is very romanticized to me, like back in the day with the kingdoms and this and that, but the 80s even would have been kind of cool. I mean, I can't think, but the 60s would have been quite juicy.
Nice. I think I would choose medieval times for sure. Then I could like travel around and see the Great Pyramids and see the Vikings and see the Byzantine Empire and see the Babylonian empires. I know they're kind of different separation of times, but I definitely would have to have. I kind of wanted to, if I had a time machine, I think I would like to see Atlantis. I'd like to see some great civilizations that, like Göbekli Tepe in modern day Turkey, was supposed to be buried once the Egyptian powers came to mind, so that they would seem to be the greatest civilization, but they were actually 20,000 years more in the past than the Egyptian times. So it was deliberately buried, and Graham Hancock talks a lot about those times. So I think we're a world of amnesia, but I definitely, there's some interesting concepts that I saw. Hot Tub Time Machine, very frat style bro humor, but it brought up some turning in the wheels there, and I was like, damn, where would I want to be? There's so many interesting places I'm going to see. I was like, but you know, through movies and through the Burning Man movement, I got to see almost like the 60s love child scene again. And it really felt so freeing and loving. Man, I was hugging everyone. I was giving everyone like such love, and I was getting love. And it was just like such a feeling of art and such a feeling of the music and slowing movements and not the worry of news and society and work.
Yeah.
Man, it was just uplifting in every sense of the word, and no one was. You could see through the whole week of Burning Man, you could see maybe 2 or 3 jerks, but they were really suppressing being a jerk. Like they were like,
I'm a jerk, I swear.
Jerk, but like it was the giving spirit, you know. So you give everything, you barter for it, you get free beer, free concerts, free rides on different art cars and things of that nature, and they get to see like displays and go inside of artistic collaborations and different temples. and you get to go in Burning Man and watch it burn. But you know, you didn't pay for, you contributed through your effort and through your skills, but you didn't pay for anything. But you could see people getting a little bit like in their old selves. But this week they had like took a vacation from their body. They sort of like went forward, and they were like this different version of themselves, this better version, this higher self. And I was like so encouraged by that, and it brought out a better version of me. And I was like, oh, I can be better. This is good. This is good. I like this.
Yeah, we can always be better, can't we? No, it sounds like a great practice for what could be, you know, in the communal kind of sharing living. And of course, it's hard for us when we've been living in a very like, got to take care of myself kind of society. It's like, you know, and like being close even. We're so separated from each other that being close and sharing and whatever, it's kind of a foreign concept to us these days. It's crazy, you know, like we need to find a way that we can kind of merge the modern time that we've come to, because you can't take away all that, and like the indigenous things. It's like somehow make them come together, you know what I mean, to work somehow, because yeah, we're so domesticated now, it's ridiculous, and separated. It's like,
yeah, we don't know how to change tires, we don't know how to hunt anymore, we don't barely know how to fish. I mean, we know how to be inside a house and be separated from our neighbors. What's some times that you felt like such great communities like that? Because I know you travel, you go to festivals, you've been in many countries. What are kind of the things that pop up to mind that maybe can encourage some others to seek this lifestyle, maybe a communal life, maybe just places they can go to experience that, like, you know, places that are such happy places?
Yeah. I mean, I think it like I said, it's happening kind of everywhere. If you tap into it, it's kind of most places there are these things going on. You just need to sort of like find them. But for me, Guatemala, San Marcos was a really beautiful community. Some points really draw in, some points on the planet really attract that kind of living. I mean, you see it at festivals all over the world and stuff like that as well. But yeah, Byron Bay in Australia is kind of like that. I find Ibiza very like that. It's funny how some places are more disarming and connected and spiritual than others. But there are so many communities that I would love to go and explore, and all different styles, you know, like there are spiritual ones, there are permaculture ones, there are, you know, all kinds of different ways that people are now seeking to live, because they realize that this is not really desirable way to be, you know, slaving away. So because the earth gives us everything we need. So the fact that we would, you know, go along with this whole thing of like working, earning money and paying things is kind of insane when you really think about it, since like everything's actually given to us for free naturally, you know, from the earth. So I think people are realizing that and going, okay, we're leaving, you know, we're going to go set up shop in the bush somewhere and, you know, make earth ships and like all these amazing, you know, environmentally friendly ways of living. And they're just coming up with more cool ways to do stuff, you know, like permaculture and stuff. And so, yeah, which I think is really cool. I'm always kind of in this battle of like to run away to a community or to try to actively participate in the society to try and inspire some change from within. And I thought, no, we've got to participate. But actually both ways are really serving the planet, you know, because if everyone runs to communities and does that, it's great. But also if you don't do that, I think that if we can be conscious about what projects, businesses, you know, things that we're involving ourselves in, that's super important too, because we are affecting it from inside. So,
man, so many hot topics there. So many great things came to mind when you were explaining that, because I'm affected by that as well. Because once you've gone to, let's say, heaven on earth, then you go back to mediocrity, and then you're living in idiocracy. So you're like kind of being brainwashed again, like you mentioned earlier. And I would just say like just sort of like overtaken by people in general, because people have the ability to flood us with their emotions and flood us with their energy, and we're all magnetic beings. So when we're around a bunch of magnetized beings that are projecting fear and projecting sort of racism or whatever it may be, you kind of feed into that, because a part of you can understand the message and the fear that they're going through. When you escape to places like Byron Bay, and you escape to places like Hawaii, and escape to places like San Diego, California, and escape to places like Hawaii's North Shore, or go down to South America and Brazil when you're seeing the beautiful landscapes and you know, all these places like Sub-Saharan Africa, just natural places. there's a different version that comes out of yourself. And then when there's communities also, they sort of harness that energy, and they learned how to, you know, bring the right people in. And then when you get into like a community like that and just live there for a couple weeks, you reemerge and you get reborn. And like you have like a mini life there, and time just goes by so slow. I mean, Einstein, the theory of relativity, discussed that. He's like, in different places, in different moments, time goes by in a different way. It's not linear. So consciousness really gets birthed in these communities, and I feel that we can live in both worlds, but then come back after our journey there and start something, or create a haven for someone to take on that same journey or a different journey, and then record it like on a documentary like we discussed earlier. It's just so important, because I'm in a community right now that's a lot of fear driven and political driven. And I'm just like, it hits me in my heart. It hits me in the heart all the time. It hits me in my heart. And I'm just going to myself, when is my next journey? What is my purpose? But you just got to do something, and do like this webcast, and just really get your feelings and merge with allies, because you can't do it together, and learn from others like yourself, and possibly do a life-shifting paradigm shift to where you're going to attract more stuff like that, and to get friends in these groups, and then sort of search the internet and volunteer and just save up money, because you can get free home and stay in a place like Guatemala or Machu Picchu, or a place like in Byron Bay. You can find communities of tiny houses, and, you know, live in a bartering style, like foraging, growing. As you said, the earth provides, and it really does. And but having that fear and that education system that says you got to work, you got to have your savings, you got to have your retirement, it's kind of gripping, because that lifestyle also aids in cancer, all sorts of diabetes and hypertension, because our soul is so tight and so loaded with this negativity that we're sort of, what do we do, you know?
Yeah, we become really good lifelong customers of you know, big pharma and kind of like drug companies and stuff. It's very interesting, you know. We all end up like popping pills, or like having cancer, or getting diseases and stuff, because it is so unhealthy for us, that environment. But I mean, I think if you're really locked into it, like some people are really kind of convinced by it and in it, and that kind of works for some people. But if you're not, and you're half in and out, and, you know, you kind of living in nature makes more sense, but you're trying to participate and, you know, and spark something, it can be hard. You've got to be really strong, because you can see it, you can feel it, because you know, once you start seeing it all, it's like, whoa, you know. So it takes, you got to recharge, you got to be strong, you got to be conscious of it constantly, because it can really get to you, you know what I mean? Like, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, because the pressure of like, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to have a family, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. It's sort of, it's a like a plan that is set upon society. But then when you step outside of that and take a step, you're really going into this like void. It's like the universe has a void, and you're pushing through it, and it opens up, and you're swimming with dolphins all of a sudden, and you're hanging out on sailboats, living sustainably. You're sitting out there on motorbikes and camper vans, and communities that are built up beautifully, and people that are shining, that are like 80 years old, and the brightest blue eyes you've ever seen, brightest green eyes. You start meeting people and having real love and romance, and you really understand that everything you've done in your life may have been sort of, it's real, but it wasn't at a high vibration. It may have been real based on like what you saw in a movie, but it's not necessarily real. So
no, exactly. That's why, traveling is a very good beginning for that, for people that, it's an easy one for people to understand. It's very appealing to everybody. Well, a lot of people, some people don't want to, and that's fine. But I would just, say break free and travel. And you're right, because you're just exposed to more flavors and colors, you know, different ways of living, believing, being, different people, and just the way that the universe carries you when you jump out there, you know, and that gives you some, you know, that tickles you inside just in itself, because you just get connected to, you know, having trust and getting out there. yeah, it's the best thing that any young person can do, I think, to learn about themselves, you know, and the planet, like, in and out, you know.
Yeah, and you know, again, you might face the pressure of society, and you may run out of money, and you might have to jump back into society to make more money, and you might have to go back and merge into those communities afterwards, and you might come back into like an epiphany of what you can do with your life, and with the, you know, Amazon and Netflix and having all these different startups and GoFundMe's and different areas where you can make money and get donations, and the shared economy, you can sustain yourself if you have a vision, or if you are serving the people, and you are serving with your inventions, with your talents, with all sorts of love infused ideas. Then I think there's like a mechanism with the laws of nature. When you are serving and you are giving and not just pulling from whatever, then you will be given back as much as you are serving. So there's sort of this like value worth of your energy that you put out, because I mean, you can go into the business books, you can go into the Bibles, and you can go into the scriptures, and you'll see the same kind of formula that was written down thousands of years, because people wanted to share the wisdom for the people of the future. But you know,
yeah,
there's also shadow sides, so you got to figure it out. So what do you think success really is these days?
Well, success. Yeah, success, I think, is living from a place of, like what you were saying.
When you think of success,
living from a place of love rather than fear, I think, because it's hard these days. But I think all decisions we make and all things that we do, all the choices we make, either comes from fear or love, you know? And so being able to live authentically and like you said, I mean, having that trust that if you have good intentions, I strongly believe you will be supported, you know? And it is the best time now to do all the kinds of things that people want to do, you know? Like, it's also very stressful for people. You know, hundreds of years ago, you were born into a shoesmith family, and you didn't have to think about anything. You just continue on the family business. So it was kind of easier and more secure and everything, you know, in a way. People didn't have anxiety and depression as much as they do now. Now we have so much choice and so much opportunity that's so beautiful, but it is a lot of pressure. People get anxious, like, oh my God, I have to do something amazing then, you know what I mean? Because it's possible, and you know, like, I can do anything, so what am I going to do that's the best thing? And so I think that's kind of also scary for people, but it's also really beautiful that, yeah, you can do anything you want. So I think success is following your truth and having trust, because I think ultimately that leads to beautiful things and great surprises and gifts, and you meet the right people, you come across the right opportunities if you are, yeah, and it is easier said than done. So I think for me, success is that, you know, as much as that doesn't sound connected to success, maybe.
Yeah, well, that makes perfect sense. I for the listeners, I got a sheet that I'd like to share that I took a course, and it really helps you out. I'll show you guys on camera so that you can kind of mimic it. And it comes down to your projects. It's a daily productivity planner. Okay, so it basically shows what are the 5 things I can do to move towards my goals, right? What are like, or like just 2, 3, if you just can do 3 different things, then you'll get through it, right? And one of the projects could be, I must move towards this project and do, let's just say, I write a proposal or write a leadership council or write something you could do towards that. Maybe even I can open up a business. I can just email a couple companies and see if you can get some insight or interviews and things of that nature. And then I can also get something towards people I need to reach out to today. So how can I reach out to someone, and who am I waiting for? So you kind of get this dialed in structure of what you're doing and how to move into this and move forward into this next mission. And then you can come up with a project too. So you can pick up your projects. So there's 1, 2, and 3, and then just 3 different things you can do towards moving towards that for that day, or through that sense of purpose. And if you just do 3 different things towards moving forward with your projects, then you will be able to sustain growth, and you'll be able to sustain not drifting and moving towards an easier outcome on your purpose. So again, you don't have to be super productive, but you can do more things in that. And then I want to go through the second thing, because this is like real, this is for the logical mind. Opportunity evaluator. So how many opportunities do we get given throughout our life? Not very many, let's just be real. So opportunity can be scaled to staying within your personal talents, to your goals, to your livelihoods, to your heart-oriented careers, and things of that nature. And then we can do, so this is going to basically set up to having, like, let's just say option A and option B. Let's just say I'm channeling towards a marketing career, or I'm going to a community to learn more about indigenous medicine, to learn about holistic medicine, to learn more about a certain country and get involved in their cultures, and to giving back, and to learn about ethnic planning and ethnic evolvement, and learning a different language. So that's plan B, plan A, okay? First thing we'll discuss is what sort of impact will this have on your life? At plan A is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scale. So what sort of impact will have on you? It looks like that. Opportunity evaluator, okay? Growth, impact, heart, and head. So you scale it 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, okay? Really, really think about that. Think about the different things. You can kind of create a little informational packet on that. And then we can go to plan B and then see what you rated. So I did a 3 and a 5. So then we'll go to growth. What sort of growth, what sort of knowledge, what sort of relationships as a person will encourage and bring forth and just magnify and just enhance and give us sort of life to our existence? And then what will we come out of it with? As in, like, do we have anything we can bring back, like degrees or personal experiences, or what can we create while we're doing this? So, you know, financial, health, relationship growth, maybe you learn some new skills, okay? So it was about time, because, you know, one way would be marketing, to stay in that marketing field, and then one way will be to get into a whole travel mixed bag of different languages and learning. So I rated it a little bit higher on that because I'll be learning more on that journey. All right, so then the other one is like, how does it make you feel in your heart? So you really got to ask yourself, you know, how does it feel already without even taking the opportunity into this? What option feels right to you? What pulls you in that direction? Is that your passion pulling you, or is that your fear or your worry pulling you? So you got to really understand that first and foremost. And then we'll go into what pulls your heart in a different direction, and, you know, what like feels right. You know, what really makes you feel secure or makes you feel a little bit on the edge, and like keeping that foolish spirit, but also going forth on a journey. So, you know, rank that A and B, 1 out of 5. And then we'll go into our logical brain, because our brains are all neurologically different. There's different parts of our thinking, logically, rationally, art, and memories, all combined in our medulla oblongata. The neuroscience is coming to fruition, so we really must make the most logical choice. This isn't always the best, but this gives us the best opportunity to see where we're at. And then we'll see where that leads. So again, A and B, which one pulls you in the direction, gives you the best opportunity for our logical mind. So again, impact, growth, heart, head. All right, and then we're going to tally up all the scores. All the scores are going to be tallied up, and we come up with a number, okay? The score is between 12 and 20. with your decisions on A or B, then that's good. If you don't have at least 12 points, say no to that option altogether. So that's a great way to kind of get involved. And we'll try to see what happened to Hanneka and get her back on. Okay, guys, we'll be tuning back in just a moment for the part 2. Thank you for that.